Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to Logic Church number 30-something, 32. And it also happens to be the number that's my favorite number. Welcome, guys.
Cool.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about whatever today, open topics, open guests. Hello everybody. If you guys want to introduce yourselves a bit, that's cool. Go ahead.
Okay, who wants to go first?
I guess I will. I'm Anders Herzberg. I think this is the first time that I've actually been on one of your streams, Logic, but thank you for having me. I run my own shitty little YouTube channel, so if anybody's interested in that, my little lower third has the link.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay, and who's next there? I'm just looking at the screen. Who we got Forbidden, right?
Oh yeah. Do you want me to go or someone else?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Just give us a little.
Yeah. All right. So I'm the Forbidden Thinker. I run a very small channel that goes about talking about religion, atheism, and various topics.
Cool. And who do we got next? Hisham, is that it?
Yes.
What, did I pronounce it right?
Yeah, you're doing right.
I don't think we've heard from you before, Hisham.
Yeah, it's the first time for me here.
Good to hear from you, man.
Do you do anything on YouTube? Any channel or anything like that?
Yeah, and Twitter also.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
You want to go ahead and post it in the side chat or whatever to get some more followers? Have at it.
Yeah, I just tweeted out the live stream link.
Cool.
Or, well, yeah,
Okay.
the video link.
Yeah, I got it from Twitter.
Okay, and we got who? Catherine next?
Yeah.
Oh, me? The patriarchy is allowing?
Okay, so
The
okay,
patriarchy
and
is
then who do we have next? Moving right along. Okay, and you're new, right? I can't see the icon.
No.
Okay.
Lovely been here.
Oh, lovely Catherine here, the anti-feminist in the house. And hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
That's weird because I actually like feminists.
Ooh!
I can tell we're not going to be friends, Catherine.
Oh, we'll have to
It was
fight.
star-crossed.
We'll have to fight. We must schedule a hangout. You and me, the patriarchy versus the anti-feminist. Well, no, the male feminist versus the female anti-feminist. This is
Lovely.
going to be fun.
Well, Catherine, you'll learn to understand that I am the patriarchy.
Lovely. Don't worry about him. He puts up with me, and you know how I am. So there's that.
No, guys.
So we have.
Yeah,
Done.
So who do we have next? We have Reggie. Is that who's up?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
All right. How you doing, man? You new to it?
Yes, sir. I'm new. Got invited by Mr. Logic Church. Phenomenal guy. Checked out his channel, and he invited me to this hangout with you brilliant people. So I figured that I'd give it a shot and talk to you guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, cool. So now do you have Twitter or YouTube things that you
Yes,
want to? Okay.
Yes, sir. I have my YouTube is YRProductionsTv. I do motivational videos, web series, music videos, things like that.
Oh, cool.
And then my Twitter is at Reggie QB. It's at REGGIEQB.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Good to meet you, man. Hey, you should put it in the side chat. It's easier for people to click on the link for it.
See, I don't even know how to do that.
Oh, okay. Promote it on Twitter.
On just the side chat. You know how the side chat on the G+.
Gotcha.
Ooh.
Yes, yes. Right. Yes, sir.
You know.
Okay, so who do we have? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just tell him it's cool to meet him. Psycho.
So is he new?
I've seen Psycho before.
I've seen him in Nadia's hangout.
Oh, cool. So anything
Yeah, I
you
talked to
want to
Logic
say?
before.
Mhm.
No, I say I talked to Logic before. What's going on?
Oh,
How's it going? Did we fight? Did we get along? Did we
Well, I was there the
flat
first.
earthing,
I was
right?
there the first night that you. No, I'm not flat earthers.
Okay. We're all
I was
cool
there
then.
the first night you came in, Nadia's, and I was one of the people grilling you about whether or not you was a atheist, agnostic, or theist, or whatever.
Yeah. Good times.
okay, and we have Logic, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and Uber. Are we moving right along to Uber?
I don't put out content yet. I might someday, but
Mhm.
just odd hangouts.
Yeah. Well, I think we all know each other now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now we were talking about stalkers and that, right, or stuff like that. So now, any of you guys, girls, had stalkers? Had a lot of stalkers? Or you ever stalk anyone, or like ever get really obsessed with somebody, or whatever, that kind of thing?
I have a lot of stalkers on my back. They just don't want to leave me alone.
Mhm.
And the track record is 4 years, and they have not quit, not one bit.
Oh, that's cool. Now, have you ever met any of these people, or, I mean, like in physical life, or are they like stalkers on the internet, more or less?
Just stalkers on the internet, more or less, and they're more annoying above anything else. But every now and then, they sort of cross a line with me.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do they cross the line? What do they do that's like too much for the stalkers, right?
Well, the story goes is a long time ago they were trying to dox me because I left, because I don't agree with their version of Christianity, and ever since then they tried to dox me, but instead they tried to dox my best friend in real life, and they've actually released quite a bit of sensitive information off of my friend,
Wow.
and that actually got him in trouble in real life, like in terms of his job relation, because his manager was uber religious, and ever since then they simply refuse to be wrong. So they think I'm my friend, even though I'm not, and they simply refuse to back down.
And so now the whole thing stems from just an ideological difference, right? It's not even something about the way that you practice anything or they practice anything. It's just that you believe different. You have different beliefs, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm an atheist, by the way, and I've already did the deconversion thing, but the mere fact that they've never really liked to, but the mere fact that them and I had a simple disagreement over one tiny thing, it just baffles me that they have not quit after 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, well, that shows some commitment there, but geez, that's I mean, just going after you just for a ideological difference, is it seems a little extreme.
And they put that shit to sleep for like what, 2 years when you were quiet, Forbidden.
Oh yeah.
You weren't doing shit online. You didn't do anything, and then you came back on.
Yeah.
New mindset, and they came back after you.
Yeah, and that's sort of what happens. Like I did take
shitty.
Like I did take a break for a while, but they actually just came back right when they started talking about religion again. But this time they're using the excuse of, oh, this guy's an atheist, therefore let's harass him and call him a person that advocates for death and violence somehow.
Wow. Huh. So how about the rest of you? Oh, you got a good stalker story?
Reggie looks like he wants to talk.
Reggie's got one.
No, it was Forbidden, right? The guy.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Forbidden. I just want to say, thanks for sharing your story, man. You sound like a cool dude. I hate that you had to go through that. First off, that's BS all the way. But my take on it, and just as a whole, is that I never believed in harassing or being negative towards anyone, no matter what religion, race, or whatever you believe in, or whatever you stand for, basically. My thing is, one of my biggest quotes on YouTube, which nobody will probably ever agree with, is that I feel like everybody is all equal. We can be all equal. But at the same time, people really won't see that. I think in this world, a lot of people are just looking for ways to be negative, looking for ways to pick on people, whether they're having a bad day or just they don't agree with your rights or your beliefs or whatever. And I think that's the wrong thing. You know, my belief is basically is that I really don't have a specific religion. I'm just trying to be positive and just trying to, you know, treat people the way that, you know, I would like to be treated, and that's with respect.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so I never knock anybody for their religion. I never knock anybody for their race or whatever they believe. But at the end of the day, you know, I can't. We're all born different. We're all born different ways, and then in this world, we're all molding into becoming that we were born into. We weren't born one to be.
I try not to, but when I talk to somebody who is like a flat earther or an anti-vaxxer, I have no patience for that kind of
exactly, because there are some people who just their first thing is just to attack negative right. Not even give you a chance to speak, give you a chance to try to, you know, explain yourself or explain your views. I just don't agree with that.
I don't know if it's just me, but you're breaking up, Reggie.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah, you are, man. Sorry.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, it's better.
You guys can hear me? Okay, sorry about that. The thing, what I was saying was is that, yeah, that's the thing I don't like.
Much better, yeah.
When people are attacking, they just come right off the bat and they just start judging and they're attacking you. And they don't even know you, you know? I'm guaranteeing 2 minutes, you know, talking to you or hearing you out, they'll be like, oh man, you know, my perception of you from the gate was negative, but now, you know, it totally changed after talking to you. And that's another thing, man. We just don't have a lot of patience in the world. People aren't giving each other chances to show and prove who they really are, because people just have the mentality, hey, let me judge this person, or let me go and treat this person because he's an atheist or he's this or he's that. They don't even know what you stand for. You know, they just hear what the programming teaches them on the news or what they were raised to believe, then they go out and start attacking. I'm not talking about every religion. I'm talking about the attackers, the prejudgers, the ones that are just ready to attack anybody that's different from them. And that's how I feel. So forbidden, on behalf of those guys, I apologize because that's not right. And it sickens me that we have to live in a world where people like, you know.
Yeah. Right.
It's over.
Yeah, and I think definitely that's true. I think fundamentally, we're just human beings, and life is hard for everybody. Life is confusing for everybody, and it's way too short to get all caught up in who we are and to fight with each other. But I do think that there are people who want power and control and use it to manipulate and hurt other people. And I think if some people want to, in the name of justice, I guess, go after those type of people that they disagree with, I'm okay with that. Personally, I'm a pacifist. I prefer to stay out of conflict. It fits better with my personality. But, and I think that's stuff that some people do is terrible. But I also think that sometimes it's good that people call some people out or something like that. So sometimes conflict is good. It's kind of like a balance. You need some conflict, but not too much.
I think that some people go out of their way to effect changes that are harmful to the society as a whole. And these people must be called out on what they are doing. Like, for example, my stance on anti-feminism and why I do what I do. So I think that this thing about social justice warriors and this kind of thing, these behaviors are toxic, and people must stand up to this kind of things. So certain things, it's kind of pick your fights. I think that, for example, I am an atheist, but I don't get out of my way to knock on other people's doors to say, look, you have to give up your religion because I believe that atheism is the way to go. I don't do this kind of thing. If you want to have your religion, go for it. It's your problem, not my problem. This is different. But the thing with social justice warriors and feminism is because they infringe upon other people's rights.
Right.
And
So
this is different.
Right, so we need to make it a virtue for society that individuals can do what they want, and it's part of our Constitution in that you have the freedom of religion. So basically, people should have the right to choose what they want to do, but then also they don't have the right to impose that on other people. Um, Basically, we have to have a collective conscious understanding that we can't impose on other people. And I don't know what it is, but these days that's an idea that's being perturbed quite a bit. So hopefully we can improve on that.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think what the fundamental issue is across all groups, and I've seen this within, within modern third wave feminists. I've seen this to a certain extent with some of the atheist communities, the anti-feminist communities. All communities of every single stripe, I've seen the same kind of almost cult-like mentality where if you don't believe in this ideology lockstep, you're somehow the enemy. And if you don't agree on every single point, then suddenly you're an apostate or something like that. And that's kind of the issue that I have with what I call kind of like cult thinking. I almost see it as religious in nature, and I mean even atheists can do this too, where it's I'm so ingrained into my ideology and so caught up in it that I can't see the forest from the trees, and I can't look at external criticism from outside of my group in any way, shape, or form. And that's something that I really try to reject, even within our own communities, such as the atheist and the anti-feminist communities.
I personally have not seen that in atheist communities, other than like SJWs.
I don't see it so much now, but I mean, when you have kind of the little like the followers who go out of their way to tell just the Christian on the street, no, you're stupid and wrong, and stuff like that. That seems kind of like a almost cult-like mentality, where if you don't completely agree with me, then you're wrong and immoral. So
how do you really know people that do that in person?
No, I don't. And like I said, it's something I haven't really seen much out of the atheist community in quite a while.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people do that. It's part of the victim blame sort of thing, where when you're in a difficult situation, or when you're going through a change, or you have something frustrating that happens in your life, I think a lot of people, instead of dealing with it, instead of dealing with that inner struggle, so let's say you were a Christian, you're becoming an atheist or just a non-theist. You might be really frustrated that other people didn't tell you about things like that, or that you've been forsaken somehow or something. So we start to blame other people and outside things for causing us harm, whereas they're not actually causing us harm, and it keeps us from solving our problems and stuff like that. But so this sort of stuff does happen. And when I started questioning religion and things like that, I kind of felt like that. Like I wanted to yell at the rooftops or something and go out and tell people, what are you doing?
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take
at least there's some feeling.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of cult-like zealotry, being a zealot for any ideology and being blinded by that ideology is something that I will always argue against, even if it's coming from somebody who I would ostensibly agree with. And I'd be like, hey, slow down, man. Don't be the very thing you're trying to argue against.
Right.
Can somebody name me an ideology that isn't cult-like?
Well, I think
because the anti-PC / anti-SJW movement is just as cult-like, if not worse, than the SJWs. To be honest.
Yeah, in some instances, I could see that.
I disagree. For example, religion. There's a difference between individuals practicing religion and, for example, religion as a whole imposing on other individuals' rights. When people practice religion because it's their belief, because they have a personal relationship with their God entity, I think it's a right that they have. But when they try to impose their religious rights upon others, has to be has to be fought, because this is an infringement upon other individual rights. And the same thing with SJWs. They start to create new paradigms. They start to create new definitions of wars that are allowed, the behaviors that are allowed, triggering cultural appropriation and this kind of shit. And this infringes also on other individual rights. So when you have a belief in whatever it is, a cause, a religion, whatever you support, until the moment when you cross the line of another individual right,
Um,
and until this
I
moment,
don't see the I don't see the correlation between religion and SJWs as far as
no,
infringing on people's rights. I don't.
I'm using examples. So, for example, because you said that those people who are anti-SJWs are as bad as the SJWs. I don't think so, because SJWs, if you look back into history, SJWs are the equivalent of the intelligentsia before the Russian Revolution.
I would like to take up that argument about SJWs. They are dogmatic. They believe what they want to believe. They keep being willfully ignorant to facts.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Well, guys, I think
Okay.
I'm not saying that that SJWs can't be cult-like. I'm saying that the anti-SJW movement can be just as cult-like,
yeah,
if not worse.
Why are they that way? The reason is because
because it still
they
has the
wouldn't
group
be there.
culture. It's still like a tribal thing. You know, humans are tribal. You
yeah.
know? We
the
still want
point-
to group together. That's the idea.
My point is they wouldn't be there if there wasn't this shit getting thrown in their face. Obviously.
I mean,
Well, yeah, but
that's what
yeah.
everything. That's what everything got to be. Got to be two opposite sides of the spectrum. If you look at street gangs, I mean, the Crips was around first. It was no Bloods, and then the Crips started bullying everybody, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got Bloods, and then you got a counter reaction. Like that's just how life is. You had the feminist movement, and now you got the MGTOWs and the MRAs. It always got to be opposite spectrum.
No. Hold on a second.
Listen to this one for a while.
Hold on a second. You said you got the feminist movement, now there's MGTOW. There was a feminist movement 100 years ago. No MGTOWs. Never. For the last 100 years.
Well, it doesn't have to happen this
Hold on.
It's an eventual reaction,
Once they started going batshit crazy, then people started speaking up and saying, what the fuck is this shit? Why do we have retarded, crazy, batshit people going fucking talking to goddamn the UN and Congress about their feelings? Come on.
Can I say something about feminism?
Well, I think I wanted to make a point.
Hold on. I would like to let Sky respond to what I said.
Psycho, but yeah. No,
Sky.
I think I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. Like, you pretty much just, confirm what I was saying before. Like, when you get these radical movements moving towards one way, you're going to have the opposite spectrum start to, form and everything else, because it has to be two sides. It has to be a tug and pull thing. So that was kind of my point.
Yeah,
Like,
action and
it's like that
reaction.
with everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with
exactly.
that.
It's physics.
Yeah.
But I think basically what we need is we need a society that pushes towards the acceptance of diversity. And that's the thing. It's so weird because the whole concept of racism is that we don't look down on other people that are different, because diversity is something that we want. That's something that's useful for society that we want to be part of. So we don't look down on people because they have a different colored skin or they have a different religion or something like this.
Mhm.
So what we really need is to fall back on those original core ideas that maybe had some value, and then let's make that a thing. Let's make diversity and being different, not the same, as a virtue for society, something that we promote.
I think the problem is how the kid, how has been brought up. I mean, parents tell him these conceptions and don't teach him about all these, their ideology, and tell him to do all these kind of things, but they don't teach him that, out out the world they could find a lot of, ideologies and diversity. I think they should, teach him that how to respect other ideologies, how, you know, so when he grew up, that he could find a lot of diversity, a lot of different ideologies and deal with it. So it starts, from the home itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think also a problem when, I got some relatives, suffering from that, related to, kids, small kids, that when, a different ideology, for example, Christian, married to an atheist, for example, so that Christian, take this kid to the, the church, and the, his wife, for example, atheist, told him, no, don't take him to the church, just let him, choose what he wants after he turns to 18. So it makes, some problems here. So what do you think, guys, that, we do here? There's a lot of, I got some relatives, suffering from that, and tell them, take them to the church, make some problems, they got some issues, let him choose whatever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
The MGTOW movement is a reaction, natural reaction for the extremism of the third wave feminism. I think that the more rational understanding would be the men's rights activism, the MRAs. They can be more understood, better understood than the MGTOWs.
I agree.
Where they come from? They come from the justice system denying rights for men when in divorce cases. The fathers that never see their children, the exploitation and financial exploitation and divorces, this kind of things. This happens, it's a fact. And the kind of the thing about the rape culture, and lots of things that happen to men, because the third wave of feminism is not about equal rights. Equal rights were achieved by the second wave of feminism. The third wave of feminism is about more rights. And if you change rights for the word benefits, you are demanding more benefits. It's not about equality. Equality was achieved by the second wave of feminism. So it's not about it's that thing that Anita Sarkeesian goes to the United Nations and demands that everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out. No, she's wrong.
Right. Well, we can expand that. I know with the current political climate and ideological climate, it's easy to gravitate towards feminism and SJWism, all that other stuff. But I think one of the underlying what's that?
SJWism.
Oh, yeah. I like saying warriorism. It's a little bit harder. But, social justice warriorism. But the thing is that okay, it's like morality. Okay, you have your personal morality, right? And then you have your whatever ethic, like your societal ethic, I guess. But all morality at some point is imposed, right? It's like you have to, unless you're going with the belief that morality is a religious thing, that it's something that exists extrinsic to people, right? You know, so the thing is at some point you have to impose your own morality on somebody else. Now the thing is that, okay, knowing that, you know that nothing is absolutely free or absolutely moral or what, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, it's subjective. So the thing is that what you want to come to is some kind of consensus, some kind of agreement with the people who you live around, right? And so, you know, morality is going to change from country to country, state to state, all that other stuff. But you know, we're always going to have that fight. And the thing with the SJW phenomenon, I guess, is that I think it's a group of people or a group of individuals who just keep pushing the limit, right? They've gotten a little bit of recognition, a little bit of things have gone their way, so they're just pushing it more and more, right? And I don't think that, you know, with the anti-SJW thing, I don't think that's a big organized offensive, right? Where the SJW thing seems more organized, right? But now what's the end game? You know, is it like we're going to have to watch everything we say, everything we eat, everything we do? You know, where does freedom play in with that, right?
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely a pushback against this idea that you can't be offensive, because ultimately, you know, we value freedom of speech, and at a certain point, you can't have freedom of speech without being able to offend people, at least on some level. I mean, you can't say anything really without offending somebody out there.
No. Well,
and if you make it so that you can't offend anybody's sensibilities, then you can't really say anything. And I think we're seeing a very worrying trend with the way Facebook, Twitter, other social media channels, and YouTube especially has been pushing this kind of like, oh, we can't offend, you know, certain groups, and essentially shutting down that idea of freedom of speech. I mean, Undoomed had a video temporarily taken down. Atheism is Unstoppable had, I think it's a couple videos removed now. There's been all sorts of abuses of DMCA flagging and other flagging tactics to try and shut down, you know, specific ideas and opinions that certain groups find offensive. But if we do that, then our freedom of speech is ultimately lost. And you know, this is something that I've touched on my channel, because it's really worrying, because Google especially, it set out with the motto of "Don't be evil." And now you see, you see, they literally set out with this motto of "Don't be evil." And now, and now, you know, you have videos that are, you know, critical of Islam getting taken down because they hurt people's fifis, and you have, I agree, Tony. It's nothing new on YouTube, but it just seems like it's getting progressively worse and worse.
Yeah, let's let Tony fill his defense in, because he just got here. We haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
Tony, what's up, buddy?
I agree with you.
I just climbed the moon.
Shit, man.
I mean, yes, I agree that the SJWs are proving to be a spanner in the IQ level of most normal human beings. Yes, there are many of them that would take offense at that, and I'm sorry, but that is just me being able to speak how I want to speak. And if they actually take offense at that, they need to get one simple thing, and that's a thicker skin. If you don't like the fact that you're acting like a fucking idiot, then stop acting like a fucking idiot.
Oh, the line is
the world doesn't have to change for you. You know,
and
everyone's different.
Even if you don't want to grow a thicker skin, use the fucking block, mute, ignore button. There are tools out there so that you can create your own little bubble of everybody who agrees with you out there, so you don't have to listen to any outside opinions that you disagree with. Don't try to infringe on other people's. Create your safe online space.
That line of "stop treating us like children," stop acting like fucking children.
Yeah, this bubble. Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, I was about to say, I actually agree with a lot of what you guys are saying, as far as like the whole censorship on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everything else is absurd. I feel like there's a time. I do hold the position there's a time and places where you should have certain amount of respect for certain people when you're on their platform. Like if you're on their platform, you should show a certain amount of respect. But if you're on your own platform and you're uploading videos stating your opinions, or if you're on your Twitter, your own personal Twitter stating your opinions, your own Facebook, on your own wall stating your opinions, you should not be flagged. You should not be censored. You should be able to speak your mind however you want to speak freely on your own platform. I totally support that.
There are limits. There are limits.
You gotta understand.
If you're going to drop people's names, addresses, and shit like that, yeah, you deserve to be flagged.
Oh yeah, exactly.
There is no point in taking what happens on this stupid little system here into the real world. You take it into the real world, people get hurt, and people have been hurt.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, I really. I disagree with you with this point, because I see that you have, even if that was your platform, you have to show some respect, because the rule is, if you want others respect you and respect your ideologies, you gotta respect theirs.
No.
So
he said nobody should be doxing people.
Well, and we have to
shouldn't be doxing nobody at all.
Yeah, and we have to get to
I don't know why you would disagree with that.
Yeah, we have to get to the issue too of what is respect, right? I mean there's certain things that like comedians like Anthony Jeselnik. You ever seen him? You guys?
Mm-hmm.
And he takes like tragedies and he does this really dark humor, and it's really funny, but it's really twisted, right? And his whole premise is that he has no respect for anyone. He's supposed to be a psychopath. His whole act, right? Now, obviously we can't all act like that in every situation, right? In life or even online. But now, does respect have its limits too? That's like when you hear somebody, some woman talking about killing all men or whatever, that kind of thing, right? It's like. My thing is, like, go ahead and let her say her message, because then other people will see that, right? And eventually sanity will set in if enough people see it, right? Like, I would never try to shut that down, but at the same time, I think I should have the right to debate that or fight that or whatever, or disrespect her, I guess, or people that would say that in an open forum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think context is incredibly important, because when you're talking about a comedian, okay, that's dark humor, and I mean ultimately that is kind of a coping mechanism for dealing with these kinds of horrific things. If we can, set aside certain emotions and laugh about things, then that can help with the healing process for for certain people. But if you're talking about somebody who's like, kill all men, die cis white scum, that kind of thing, then that is a different context in which those views are being presented. So I do think that context is very important.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think the context is the main issue, right? But you know, some people, their idea of respect, right, is that you're going to more or less kiss their ass, right? You're gonna like just agree with them to agree with them or whatever, right? And where most people don't really feel that way, right? Most people expect a little bit of pushback with just about everything, you know. I think that's my own perception. Maybe it's
That
just
makes
me.
it sound really gay.
Well, you know what I mean. It's like I have this you know, it's like I've heard these arguments from people who were either transgenders or transtrenders, right? Who were making an argument saying that people found them unattractive because of whatever, because they were what they were, a transgender or whatever. But the thing is that your average person, right? Like myself or whatever, I don't expect everyone to find me attractive. I don't expect most people to find me. I expect most people to find me unattractive, right?
Right.
So if somebody does find me attractive, I'm like, hey, you know, that's a plus, whatever. You know, you appreciate it, right? And I think most people think that way. It's not like you're walking down the street, you know, and you're thinking like every girl's looking at me right now, that kind of thing. But I think there's people who believe that. They think they can get an operation or they can get a procedure or they can adopt an ideology that's going to make them lovable to everyone, right? And we just have to accept that we're not going to be lovable to everyone. You know, we're not going to be likable to everyone, right?
Guess what?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we have to embrace who we are and be okay with it.
Right,
You can't be anything but who you are, so having a set of ideas isn't gonna help.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm
then
sorry, but
Mhm.
respect is earned, and it's earned by how you act. Sorry, I've just got crap in me.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's about how what you say and how you act earns you respect. It's like I could never respect, let's just say, a supermodel, right? Because a supermodel looks absolutely fucking goddamn gorgeous, but the likelihood is she's a bitch. And for that simple reason, I mean, if she was goddamn beautiful and a really nice person, she would earn my respect. But the vast majority of the ones I see interviewed or anything like that, there's no way I could respect that person.
Right.
I agree.
That's it. That's my chime for respect. It's something that is earned. That is something you get from
It's
how
a
you
two-way
act.
street.
Yeah, you. If I acted like a complete asshole all the time, I would not expect people to like me in any way or respect. As it is, I don't. But still, people don't like me. Why? Because I'm an atheist.
Oh, because you're a horrible baby eater.
I don't think I can sleep at night if everybody doesn't love me.
There are people like that. I swear there are.
That brings
Can I
up.
say something about the example that was brought about comedians?
Wait. You're going back to feminism?
No, the comedians.
Okay.
Stop oppressing me.
You've
No,
been
we're not.
oppressed.
The patriarchy is horrible.
Feel the burn.
Yeah.
The oppression.
The thing that with comedians is that they are speaking in a private space. There is this difference between the private and the public spaces.
No.
And the thing of freedom of speech is that when it's imposed in public spaces. And
Right,
that's
right.
and that's the thing with the SJWs. The SJWs are trying to regulate what you say in public.
Yeah, and then you just can't do that. In public spaces belong to everybody. The things that we do in public, everybody has the right to do what they want to do as long as it's not imposing on anybody. You can't take a pee right in the middle of the street. Even though it's public, you can't do that. So that's something that we don't allow. But
No, there is common sense. There is what we agree as a society, and there is the new sets of values that the social justice warriors are trying to impose on people with their safe spaces, with their triggering words, and with the entire changing culture with their...
They're changing things constantly. I mean,
Yeah.
can't even keep up with it. They're adding new words to the, as far as they're concerned. They're adding new words to the dictionary every fucking day.
Like warriorism.
Really? They've added
microaggressions.
When Stanford University cannot teach the subject of rape at law school because the word rape is triggering, what kind of attorneys will graduate from there? How will they defend their clients if they didn't discuss the subject in class because the word rape is triggering for the special snowflakes?
Well, see,
lawyers should never learn what rape is because they could be bad for society.
I hate this special power or this magic power that people seem to attribute to words. Like, how are words special and powerful when they're just words? There's something that people say. They don't have any ability beyond what you give them.
They don't seem like that. They change them and twist them and...
Yeah.
Obviously, look at all the new definitions for everything.
Well, see, part of it is, okay, you have a context, you have a paradigm, right, that the words exist in.
You can't be racist if you're white.
Well, yeah, but check this out. Going back to what you're saying, right? Okay, so you have these words that are established that people understand, and you understand it to have a certain meaning, right? And everybody else does. And then what they do is they say, well, this doesn't fit their narrative or where they're going with it. So what they do is they change that context of the word, right? They take it out of context and they change it. Okay, now like the word sexuality, right? Okay, a sexuality was a biology word, right? It had nothing to do with psychology or sociology or whatever. It was all about worms, how they reproduce, right? And then so somebody said, well, we have to have another way of explaining non-sexuality. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. And so they change the context, and then that changes the paradigm, right? Because then while we're trying to figure out what they mean, right, we're like, well, what do they mean by that, right? They've already fit that into their narrative, right? So they've got that step up on you, So now they're teaching you, right? They're the teachers and we're the students, because they can't use it in the accepted paradigm. Right, I mean, they have to create the new paradigm or the new context.
Yeah, they have to reshape the world in a very specific way to fit in with what they what they want to see. And you see this all the time in the news. It's like we have to shape our headlines to fit a very specific narrative that we've already come up with ahead of time. And if we can't shape this particular piece of news into our pre-established narrative, then we're just not going to report on it.
Right.
Forbidden, go ahead. I know you wanted to talk on this.
I was about to talk about, but I think he sort of spoke just about every single point I was about to say. So never mind.
Okay.
Mr. Uber.
I think you're going in and out there, Reggie.
You guys still can't hear me?
Oh, no, I can hear you.
It's good now, but it's kind of in and out.
Okay, yeah, I was asking if I could touch base on something before I had to leave. Okay, yes, sir. I'm good, okay. First off, you guys had some tremendous topics and tremendous, theories and everything, but I'm going to touch back on a few things. Mr. Ricardo and also Mr. Logic caught it also when they said power and control. And then I heard Mr. Tony say something about respect. I agree with those things probably more than anything else, because that's something that I think that we're all living by on a day-to-day basis. Now, I'm going to touch on Mr. Tony's thing first. Mr. Tony said something about respect. Me personally, I respect every single person for the longest time until they cross the line and disrespect me. I think that's how any religion or any belief is. You know, we're cool until you cross that line and disrespect me. Now, me, I was taught to don't ever invade anybody's space. You respect them, and when they start, they'll warn you first and let you know, hey, look, man, you're getting a little bit too, a little bit too personal. You're getting a little bit too negative. And that's when you step off and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't even know I was doing it. It's a respect factor. So by me, not having respect for a lot of people in the world, I would say that there's some people that if I met them in person, if they act the way that they did on camera or in front of the TV screen and stuff like that, what I've seen them act in the past, I would not respect them. But if they're different, because this world definitely has control. Like, they're controlling us in a lot of manipulative ways. They definitely are. I'm only 23 and I've been watching this stuff since I was a kid. I'm pretty sure all of us have. And I'm just looking back. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why are we being controlled by fear, money, and these other worlds? It's crazy to me. It makes no sense whatsoever. How is green paper? How is green paper controlling me every day?
Get close to your mic, buddy.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Just stay close to your mic.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry about that. I'm saying, how is green money controlling me every day? How is it?
A dollar bill, yo.
It's crazy. French, but how is vagina or big tits or a big ass or a pretty face? How is that manipulating me into want to, have a physicality with this woman mostly? And one day, probably, you never know what you can get from this woman because with sex and sexual feelings.
Well, I think it kind of
guys
I think the direction you went with that was good. I think that people think the purpose of life is pleasure and feeling good and getting that goodie, but it's not. Life isn't about getting that goodie, It's not. But a lot of people think that I just got to get that goodie. I got to get that. Yeah. Like somebody's got a fishing rod above you with some food. And you're like, oh, tasting the dollar, magical dollar.
Yeah, no.
You almost got it. So close.
Sex is one of the examples.
The way you put that shit. Oh God, that's too funny.
It was funny. Hey, I'm glad I made you guys.
No, not you. The way.
Logic. Okay.
It's got
Logic put it.
They've just gotta. They want to get the shiny. Get the shiny.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, shiny.
Crazy crackers living in a laundry detergent all over the playground.
But life is not about. Life is doing what you're passionate about and trying to live the most fulfilled life you can and trying to find peace for yourself and other people. Or at least it is for me. It's not for everybody, but that's what I'm all about. So.
Mr. Logic, that's exactly what I agree on. I totally agree with that, and that's how I try to live every day. Like I said, I don't know any of you guys, but I respect you. You haven't said anything to say F you, Reggie, because you this, F you, Reggie, because you said you respected me the whole way. You guys are allowing me to talk. I have respect for people like that. But all in all, there are people out there. I'm sorry.
It was real good to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Pleasure was all mine, sir.
Yeah, you got to come back, Reggie.
Absolutely. I definitely will, and I just want to say you guys are all unique people. Don't let the world manipulate you. Don't ever let the world bring you down. You just try to stay positive as much as you can.
Yeah.
As long as it's not killing or hurting anybody else. I hope you guys
That's
don't
right.
take up much because the stuff that I'm saying right now, I am when I speak to real people.
Where are you out of, Reggie, can I ask you where you're out of?
I'm sorry?
Where are you out of? I'm just out of, I'm just south of Chicago myself.
Houston?
No, I'm out of Houston. Yep, you got it. I'm out of Houston, Texas. Yeah, I'm from Houston, Texas.
Okay, you
Nice,
on the kitty corner.
It was an honor talking to you guys, and like I said, I am who I am 24/7. So hey, if you guys ever get a chance, check out my YouTube channel. If you don't like it, hey, a lot of people don't, they honestly.
Yeah, it was good to meet you, man.
Cool. You too, guys. You guys have a good one. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you
Take
for
care,
coming,
Reggie.
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 I'm going to have his link in the description later. He's actually a musician. He makes some cool music, so you guys can check that out if you're watching this later on.
I will.
And, yeah. But, yeah, we just got to we got to calm down. You know, life is not about getting that goodie. It's not just about having fun and pleasure. There's a little bit more to it. We got
wait a minute. And Mendham told me it was about getting.
Life is all about.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me cut in real quick. I gotta take off here on you. I apologize, but Logic, thank you for having me on.
Don't leave your goodie here.
Yeah. Yes. You forgot to give us our goodie. So,
yeah.
All right. See ya.
Logic, thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys.
Good to meet you.
I gotta take off.
Thanks for
Pleasure meeting all of you guys. I hope to talk to you again in the near future.
Yeah, come back, man.
Yeah, for sure. You know, next hangout, shoot me an invite, Logic, and I'll definitely come.
Cool.
But thanks, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and I'll talk to you all soon.
All right, bye.
Thanks.
So we got some space now, so if you guys are watching and you thought about joining but you didn't quite have the courage, now is your opportunity to prove yourself and to join
You're
Long
scared
Church.
of your good looks.
Yeah, but that must be what it is. I know. It's the SJW jacket. They're just afraid, you know.
It's
Yeah, I'm going to start using his avatar.
Hold on.
I mean, if I made a dating website app and put his picture out, you know how many
I'm Logic.
you know how many
no last name, just Logic. That's my name.
They wouldn't even care about that shit. They'd say, "Oh, look at this guy's hair and those glasses."
I can't tell if you're kidding or not.
And then you could be like a total serial killer too. On top of that, like you could use that, you know.
Your Logic, your SJW jacket. Does it actually control you?
Yes, I am under control of the jacket right now. Just like how Pokemon Go causes people to jump from the cars, this jacket forces me to be an SJW.
Hold on. You're not serious about someone jumping from a car playing Pokemon Go?
It's because of Pokemon Go caused them walking from the car.
I heard
did it, right? I think somebody did that.
Got me a chip yet?
Oh my word!
I'm pretty sure somebody did that.
Yes, that's why I joked about it.
I've heard about apparently
Fuck
there's
too soon, obviously.
Sort of signal.
It was like yesterday.
I heard there's like a central point that people can broadcast which attracts Pokemon, and I heard a bunch of muggers did that to attract people to them, and then mugged them and nicked their phones.
I can't believe that's a fucking thing.
Okay.
I really can't believe that's a thing.
I bet you that they did that in a place that was like really poor or something, like kind of an impoverished area. It has to be. That's not going to happen on.
Afford Pokemon.
You know, it's got to be where it was. You should not be hunting Pokemon in like a ghetto or something. If you live in a ghetto, don't go outside to hunt for Pokemon. If you live in a dangerous place, right?
You're slut shaming.
What?
You're slut shaming.
I'm talking about Pokemon Go.
I know.
I'm slut shaming.
Fuck those slutty Pokemons in the poor countries.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want those Pokemon. You don't know where they've been.
They're nasty and diseased.
Yeah, you don't know what they had to do to survive in such an impoverished area. It could be bad. So.
I mean, when what's I'm trying to think of a Pokemon's name now, Shelby or something like that.
Oh, I never played the
game. When one's actually walking around and it's lost its shell, you know that one's been in for a dirty night. So,
I would assume.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, hey Tony. Tony, you're going to get it.
Oh dear.
Pardon? That's like the theme of today.
How many Pokemons have you done that to?
What?
Ooh. I haven't done anything to any Pokemon. I keep away from the game.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah, you should. Once you know, it's like chasing the dragon. At first, you start playing Pokemon Go and you get that feeling of, yeah, I'm a real Pokemon trainer. But from then on, it's never the same.
Okay, guys, explain this to me.
Never gets back to that.
I'm like way behind on this whole Pokemon Go trend. Okay, now is it is it kind of like Dungeons and Dragons back in the day?
No,
Where, no, nothing like that.
nothing like that.
Oh, okay.
You have to go back to the original
How
cartoon.
could you play Dungeons and Dragons on a phone?
You have to go back to the original cartoon where Ash, oh, I like that, it's my initials. Ash is wandering around with his Pikachu having battles with other Pokemon.
Hanging out.
Well, see, you guys know the original Dungeons and Dragons was where you'd actually go places like sewer systems, and it was almost like a scavenger hunt kind of thing, right? You'd get sent to different places and stuff like that. See, now is that what Pokemon Go is kind of like, or do you physically go to different places by what they tell you?
Pokemon Go, you literally wander the streets with your phone in your hand, and you see the Pokemon appear on the screen. You're told the locations of good Pokemon in your area, and they appear on the map, and you go to them and throw a ball at them, and they're yours, just like a Pokemon trainer does.
Oh well, that is a lot like the original Dungeons and Dragons. The original Dungeons and Dragons wasn't a board game. It was a physical thing where you were sent to different spots.
I did not know that.
You see, that's where I'm at a loss because I don't go back that far.
20-sided dice.
I'm sure that Magic has played Pokemon Go. I'm sure he plays it all the time, actually.
I had no clue.
I heard a rumor.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make fun of you people. Jesus Christ, that shit's retarded.
Yeah.
I do see. I think I've seen a lot of people playing it around here, right? And the thing is like some of them look kind of young, but some of them are like older guys and stuff doing it, and they're just like crossing the street with their head buried in the whatever in their tablet or whatever they're using. And I saw this one guy thought I was going to hit him the other day, and he didn't look up at all. He was just going right across the street. And
you should have hit him.
Yeah, maybe next time.
He deserved it.
They've already had people run over playing the game, and there was a couple of people last week walked off a cliff.
Oh.
Like, how the fuck do you walk off a cliff?
Yeah, you know what?
Well, did they get their Pokemon, or?
One can only assume that they, if they got it, it was screaming the same as they were as they hit the floor at the bottom.
Well, they have like ghost Pokemon too, don't they? Or is that Digimon?
Yeah, there's ghost Pokemon as well.
Oh, okay. So they could be like they could get their ghost Pokemon that way.
No, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I get the whole Pokemon Go thing. You know, you're walking around and you're catching the Pokemon. It's pretty sweet. And taking over gyms.
Well, now what's
Team
with
Valor?
Have you heard the thing that Predators were using this to? Have you heard that one?
I have not heard that one though.
Yeah, like I guess Predators would like feed information into the phone or whatever, and then they'd wait there with a van, you know, like a Pokemon van, right? And like here, kids, you know, that kind of thing. But because Shikama was doing a video on that last week, and he did like a PSA, a warning, and he says, you know, have your kids play in your front yard, you know, don't let them down the street, and don't let them do this and that. And but I guess it's actually been used that way, like Craigslist, you know, like to lure people. Is that possible? Can they do that?
When you said predators are using this now, I actually had this vision of this big alien monster.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, no, I was thinking on yourself so he won't see you.
Oh yeah. That No,
I think the problem is that Pokemon Go is a totally free to play game, so anybody can just download it. So you get yourself a lure, and then you know you got some people walking around. Oh, there's a lure over there. I mean, I was hanging out with some people playing the game, so I experienced this. Oh, there's a lure over there. Let's go, and they just went right over there. So.
But I mean, like some perv can get on there and go like, "Hey, you know, I got some real good Pokemon here, kids." Like that kind of thing. Like,
I guess it's not quite like that, but yeah.
The thing is, it's not only kids to play it. It's I mean, I've got 2 adults in my company to play it.
Oh, okay. So it's not necessarily geared for kids. It
is.
It is. Okay.
Oh no, adults
30,
play.
Okay.
Adults play.
I'm 37. Everybody that plays it, as far as I know, is in between maybe 30 and 20. because they remember the game from when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but predators aren't going to want a 20 to 30-year-old. They're going to want
the predators are the ones with the phones.
Hey, we got Magic Bubblehead joined. Hey. Oh. He's just having a smoke.
Ah, nice. But anyway, guys, so it looks like turkey, which is one of my favorite
Turkey
meats
is
to
exploded
eat,
tonight.
apparently they're attempting a revolution, a coup, and so we'll see how that goes.
Fucked up, I think. It's already done.
Yeah, it looks like we thought that they had it, but maybe not. So, but yeah, best of luck to them.
Yeah, Erdogan, their president, I don't know if I pronounced that right. There's been a lot of scare with him trying to create a third world war, right? And the thing is that the rumor, whatever. I'm trying to think of who's the guy that was saying it, Howard something. Anyway, he was talking about how he was luring the Russians, trying to get the Russians to start a fight with him, so that the U.S. would have to back him up, right? And so it's a crazy situation, and it's tied in with NATO, with all the stuff we have going on with NATO, and everybody's kind of walking on eggshells trying to not go there, right, with the Russians or whatever. But I don't know. He's going to have to be ousted out of there one way or another. Just because of that, because I don't think the guy's afraid of starting a world war,
Would the Americans back Turkey up, considering their connections with ISIS?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, see, the thing is that Erdogan, supposedly they were against ISIS, right? Well, when the Russian fighters were going after ISIS targets, okay, then they started, shooting the Russian fighters, right? So now, so Turkey's doing this, and they're saying, well, they were over our airspace. Well, they were going after ISIS, and the understanding at the time was that they were on the same side, and this was all part of a NATO operation. So Erdogan's not really loyal to NATO, and he's not really loyal to anyone, but he is part of the organization. So it's like the U.S. is obligated to, at least on the face of it, they're obligated to defend him, right? So, they're probably financing this coup or doing something, a U.S. is probably
U.S. tries to be world police. We all know.
Yeah, well, everything's proxy war, so you can't, just do it out in the open, so they have these proxy war kind of things.
How are we not doing it out in the open?
Well, it's not. We're not doing it out in the open because
we're bombing them at night. What?
Well, no. We're not enemies with Turkey. We're not bombing Turkey. The U.S. isn't.
You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that everything's a proxy because we have all these treaties, right? So it's like if something goes on between, say, Russia and them, we're not supposed to go after either one of them, but there's going to be something that's going to be done, some kind of military operation.
It's a big hand smack job.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
No, there's no good, clean answer. Obviously, it's not going to happen. There's just too many fucking, what is it, payrolls in the pockets.
Well, it's like, with the thing with Hillary, right? It's like, okay, whether you like her or don't like her or support her or don't support her or whatever, it's like, okay, they come out, the FBI comes out and they say that she lost all these classified things or she misclassified them or she put them on the wrong server, right? It's like all of that is punishable. All of that is something that is against the law. It doesn't matter what her intent. Hey, Edgy.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good. I see we're talking about my favorite person in here.
I just brought it up. It was like psychic, right? No, she. Well, see, the thing is that okay. So we know that that's going on. We know that something stinks with Hillary with these classifieds, right? Okay, but then the thing is that it also implicates Obama and all these other people that were tied with her, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, now you got these 9/11 reports that were released and all this other stuff in it. It seems like everybody's doing a big shell game with all this information in that. We don't know who's on whose side with this, with Turkey or whatever, right?
So it's an information war in an information economy. Ah.
Because there's a war on for your mind.
Hey, that was pretty good.
I mean, it's I don't know if any of you saw Paul Joseph Watson's video he did on that, but he gave a few specific examples of people who had removed classified information, like transferred it to devices it wasn't supposed to be on, not realizing that they had done this, and took them across national borders, not realizing that they had done this, and they were still prosecuted. Because the whole argument that Comey was making that, oh, well, we don't think there was intent, it shouldn't matter because other people have been prosecuted for the exact same thing, even though they didn't intend to do it.
Well, see, Comey was involved in Whitewater, right? Comey's got all kinds of ties to the Clintons, right? So he's he's in blood with the Clintons, right, or whatever. He can't do anything against them. So now he said as much as he could say without going after them, right? Hey, Fraulein.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. We're talking about conspiracies with Hillary and all that. Now we just kind of wandered onto it. But see, there was this guy. Okay, Edgy. This is probably way before all you guys' time and that. But there was this guy just after 9/11 who his name was Sandy Berger, right? And Sandy Berger worked for Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton was in, right? And he went into some archive that had this classified information, and he stole classified information, the originals, right, from this building. And they caught him, right? And he couldn't get away with it, so he destroyed the information before they got to him, right? Now nobody knows what was on those papers. Nobody has any, because there's no backup for it, right?
Right.
But it was something that he was hiding that the Clinton administration had, that they knew about 9/11 prior to it happening, and they were desperate to destroy that information. Well, at the time, everyone was crooked. You got the what we had with the GOP back then, what we had with the Democrats back then, right? So like, one wrong doesn't excuse the other. There's people that are on both sides that are tied into all this, right? Mm-hmm. And the only way they can get anything done is through proxies, because we've got too many treaties. We've got a war between Russia and the United States can't happen. It cannot happen. There'll be nothing left, right? And if China gets into something like that, it's the same thing, right? The Saudi families, how many hundred princes does Saudi Arabia have? That's like different countries within themselves, right? So so it's a mess. It's a huge mess, and it's like like I was saying before, Trump is not somebody I'd want to vote for, but right now he seems like the sanest choice that I could possibly vote for.
Yeah, and that says a lot.
Right. Yeah. Well, in Obama, I wanted Kucinich when before Obama was up there, right? Well, they totally screwed over Kucinich, the DNC did, and then they got Obama. Well, they got Obama. It was Tom Daschle that set him up. Well, Tom Daschle set him up because he had a deal with John McCain. John McCain was going to go Democrat, and he was going to run for the Democrats for president. And he backed out on the deal, so they grabbed Obama. Obama went on Oprah, and the rest is history, right?
Right. I mean, the whole thing is just kind of a nightmare because I think NC Clark has joined us, by the way, and I think she and I were talking about this the other day. How like let's say Trump gets in and he tries to correct the damage that Comey has done, and he tries to prosecute Hillary. It would end up being like he'd have to like basically replace the top rest, the DOJ, and go through this whole process of like probably prosecuting her for. I mean, it could be looking at some other scandals we've seen. Like look at even just Blagojevich here in Illinois. That took what, like 5 years to actually go through all of that shit to actually get him convicted. So imagine how long it would take with Hillary, with the scale of the charges that have been brought against her. You know, it's almost like it wouldn't be. Well, and NC thinks, if I remember right, she said it wouldn't be worth it. I think it would be worth it to at least try, because, you know, we can't have a society where these powerful people just get away with doing whatever they want, because it's like a signal to the rest of us that the rule of law doesn't matter.
Well, Edgy, check this out. When Bush was in GWB, there was a really good chance of impeaching him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know who the person was? The one person who killed that? It was a Democrat,
no.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh, how about that?
She killed it. Everybody was behind it. It was a unified front. They were going to take him down. They had the goods on him, whatever. And she says, "No, you can't do this. It'll take too long, whatever." And then Pelosi backed her up, and so then he got away with that shit, right? Like all the stuff with the backdoor deals and that with Cheney and stuff, right?
Right.
And I'm not at this point. You know, I've been to where I've talked to the right side, the left side, whatever. You know, done different things for each party. But right now it's so convoluted. There's so much corruption on each side that I can only assume they're working together on it. You know.
Well, you know the reason why we only have, what is it now? I should know this. It's like 435, I believe, House members.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because they decided to cap it. I mean, when Democrats and Republicans agree on something, for me it's a bad day, because they shouldn't be agreeing on anything at all.
See, yeah. I mean, and you look at, I had to talk about with Steve Talon about the healthcare system, right? And the original healthcare system, the way it was written up, the way it was on paper, it was a modified Romney plan, right? It had some really good stuff in it that would have benefited everyone, right? And by the time there was so much pushback against that, by the time it went to the floor, they just took the balls out of it, right? It was like it didn't help anyone. You know, as far as I can see, it's not really doing a whole lot to help anyone. You know, it's
right. I mean, they took the public option out of it, which was sort of like the backbone of the thing. Might have actually made it decent, and they left the individual mandate in. So
right.
You know, basically, it's like it's almost like a way of fining people for not buying something they can't afford anyway.
Right. Yeah, and they did have, in the original plan, there was a cataclysm clause, right? And this cataclysm clause had this fund, and what it was meant for is that you know, everyone pays a little bit higher, you know, into this insurance, but it covers people who had like cancers that couldn't be cured, or people that couldn't afford the drugs no matter how much insurance they had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it would save these people. And the theory behind it is that even though that's a terrible thing, there's not that many people that require the cataclysm fund, right? So it would be totally affordable. It'd be totally doable. Well, that was one of the first things, probably the first thing they gutted from it, right? And so then it was like, well, you know, you're going to make these people pay for insurance, but the insurance isn't going to help them anyway. You know, because they're still going to die. They're still not going to, the insurance isn't going to pay for all their medications and stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, you know, it's not even that I'm necessarily completely against the idea of public health care. It just has to be a system that will actually work.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it can't be, because what they ended up with was just something that was like a Frankenstein version of it. You know, it was just hodgepodge together, and I don't think half of the people that voted on it knew what it was. Right.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about like right, yeah, you're talking about like a 2,000-page document.
Right, right.
And it's almost unreasonable to. I mean, I would prefer that our representatives have read legislation before they vote on it, but it's almost untenable to read something that long. You know,
Yeah.
considering how much else they have to deal with, because it's not
Exactly.
right.
Yeah. And when you figure 90% of their job is fundraising anyway, right? You know. Kucinich, that was one of the things I liked about him. Now, I don't know if it was true or not, but he used to say, yes, I read every page of it. And the thing is when you'd see him, it looked like the guy was up all night, like he looked terrible, right? So it's kind of like, well, he probably did read all of it, you know. And I really liked him, but that's not an endorsement of the Democratic Party as a whole. I thought he was a good candidate. I would have liked to have seen The DNC let him run, you know.
Right. He was sort of like a Ron Paul of the Democratic Party, where like it wasn't that he had necessarily had bad things to say, just the establishment party members didn't take him seriously.
Right.
They didn't, or if they did take him seriously, they saw him as a threat to what they were trying to do.
Well, see, I never thought that Bernie Sanders would have any shot at all of making it to presidency. And I've chatted with him. I know him back from Tom Hartman's days when he'd do brunch with Bernie, right? And
yeah. I mean, I'm not that old, but you know, I used to listen to Chicago Progressive Talk a lot.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And he used to, you know, this was back when I considered myself more to the left. He would talk about Bernie Sanders all the time because he knew him personally, and you know, I sort of like, I'm one of these people who like supported Bernie before it was cool. And
right, okay, I got
and
you.
Now that he's running, I've sort of like totally flipped, and I don't so much like what he has to say anymore.
Well, if you want to see something that'll crack you up, go to Randy Rhodes' YouTube, right, and see what Randy Rhodes is saying about Hillary now. Now, Randy Rhodes broke ties with Hillary because she showed up at a comedy club and she called Hillary Clinton a cunt at the comedy club, right? Hillary found out about it.
Maybe because she's a cunt.
Well, Hillary found out about it and got her canned for a while from Air America, and Al Franken ran it at first, but then it was bought out and stuff like that, and then he ran, right? And they're all cool people when you talk to them. And I just saw Jack Rice just started posting on Twitter again, which I haven't seen him forever. But I think he's kind of lost now. I think he's kind of in between. He was a lawyer for the CIA, like back in the day, and he was progressive. But I think he's kind of more towards the center now, right? And so now Randy Rhodes is all like, oh, well, Hillary did this and Hillary did that, and this is why we got to. Hillary was talking about what a piece of shit Hillary Clinton was, and I mean not Hillary. Randy Rhodes was talking about what a piece of crap.
Yeah, that would be nice if she would just admit it. But
right. If she came out with it, you know. Yeah.
I'm sorry, America. I'm a terrible person. Please indict me.
Well, I mean, that's like when Clinton, when they had him, you know.
She should be in jail.
Right.
He should be. He didn't do no. I mean, he lied. I guess maybe if you want to put him in jail for a few months for getting a blowjob, but I don't think that's worth going to jail for.
Well,
right,
no,
I mean, yeah, she's.
Well, no, you know what? I have two copies of the original Star
Compared
Report.
to what she did.
Sorry. Who?
Bill Clinton about the Monica Lewinsky thing. And the thing is that every one of the guys that like prosecuted him, that went after it, they all had affairs going on, right? So it's not like it was just one guy that was like you know, doing it. I mean, it was the president, right? But everybody prosecuting him, they were all just as bad with that, right? But the thing is that he could have saved a lot of tax money. He could have saved a lot of face by just saying, okay, look, I had a moment of indiscretion. I did this, I did that, and people would have probably forgiven him the way they would Kennedy, right?
Right, I mean,
I don't agree that you should be prosecuted for your personal life while you're in office. It is completely inconsequential to what you're doing with policy.
Well, see, that's not the point, though. The point was that he did it in the Oval Office, and when he did it with her, I don't know if she was even. I think she was like barely legal at the time. I mean, she's a young girl then, but.
Well, barely legal is still legal.
Right. But see, the thing is that this gets to the whole thing about abuse of power, and they do have certain policies that they have to adhere to, and he didn't adhere to those policies. Now, is that policy or that term, is that enough to have him impeached? You know, probably not. I don't think so. But I think he would have been better to just come clean with it, like what you're saying with Hillary, right? Just come clean with it than to drag it out and have people find it out anyways, right? Because apparently everyone knew what was going on. It wasn't a big secret, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that would be the honorable thing to do and the better thing to do for the public, but You know, the problem with these people is that they get into these positions of power, and human psychology almost dictates that they're going to behave that way. It almost dictates that they're going to do whatever they can to save face, even if it's worse in the long run, because they would rather take that chance of being able to get off scot-free, which is how Hillary handled this, and she did get off scot-free, so it worked out for her.
Right. So good for her.
Yeah, good for you, Hillary.
Yeah.
I mean, and NC and I and Missy J. Well, it was their stream. They invited me on their show, and we were talking about this the other day. And someone in the chat, at one point I was like, oh well, she could be tried for treason for this. She could be executed for this if they really wanted to, if they really took it as far as they could go. And someone in the chat goes, oh well, not even Bradley Manning was tried for treason. And actually, yes, he was. He was tried for treason. He was brought up on charges that could have carried the death penalty, and he's lucky they didn't give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to even make that comparison is also silly because.
Oh, you think he should have got the death penalty? For
I'm not saying he should have. I'm
just
saying
said he was lucky he didn't get it.
Yeah, he's lucky he didn't get it because they could have done it. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying they should have done that.
I wouldn't think you would have worded it like that if you didn't feel that way.
I think this is just a miscommunication there. I'm not saying he should have gotten the death penalty.
And well, treason now. It's been a long time since I looked up the legal thing with that, but usually with treason, there's like an economic factor to it, like an exchange, where you're economically favoring another country or an enemy country. I'm sure it's not worded that way, but
well, I mean, actually, that's one of the specific charges that Manning was brought up on was aiding the enemy.
I see.
And that would have been the charge that could have gotten him the death penalty. But again, I don't necessarily agree with the prospect of that for him. I would be fine with it for Hillary, though.
Yeah, well, see, the thing with the okay, how could she not know how to handle classified stuff, right? And if she didn't know, if it was a honest mistake, let's just go with that, right? Even though we know that's not the case. If let's say it was an honest mistake, okay, she's not qualified to be in any type of leadership position.
Right, like she's either that stupid or that careless.
Right, right.
That's essentially what Comey is asking us to believe, is that, oh, well, she did all of this without intent. She deleted 30,000 emails without intent. She used a private server without intent. She carried around multiple unsecured devices without intent, and he's asking us to believe that this woman is an idiot.
Right, and then people are going to vote for her.
And then she should leave the country.
Yeah, she took this information outside of the country as well on these devices, so that's another one right there. And he's asking us to believe that she didn't know any of this as someone who's been in government for decades.
Right. And so even if you do believe that, you'd have to say, well, does she have dementia or something, or what's going on? But the thing is,
in either case, you can't trust her judgment to be president, for one, right?
Right. Yeah, you would think that would kind of be a thing, like a qualification or something,
Yeah.
Mental stability or whatever,
Right. And so, okay, maybe she's not indicted, but she has no business still running for presidency.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't press her. They just flat out refuse to try.
Yeah. I mean,
look at the shit.
Right. Well, I mean, Comey specifically said that. Oh, well, we looked at the information and basically admitted. In fact, he said it straight up that in other circumstances, if this were somebody else, there would be prosecution. And
that's disgusting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean. But I think ultimately this is better for Trump than if she did get indicted. I still think she should be indicted, but this is going to fuel more public outrage, the knowledge that she wasn't indicted.
Right.
Well, I don't think they would. I don't think the Hillary followers give a fuck either way.
Right. I mean, there are definitely people who were going to vote for Hillary no matter what.
Everything I've seen from it doesn't matter what she does. They don't give a fuck. They're it's okay, whatever.
Yeah. That I wanted to address Fraulein Freiheit. Yeah. That I mean, you have some good points there. okay, first of all, yeah, it's like probably most of the people we have in politics do have affairs or do have different things going on, and we should hold them to a higher standard, just for the sake of we have to trust these people in some way, right? Now, as far as you know, what can be done to them legally, you know, maybe not a whole lot in certain situations. But there was a point N.C. Clark had, is this thing about the Clinton's secret affair. Now, there was a scare about something to do with and I forget who it was. It was this Chinese woman that Bill Clinton was with, who had something to do with our arms dealing, right? And there was a talk of him being blackmailed or possibly being blackmailed over that. So that is a real that is a threat when stuff like that happens, and this is stuff that goes back to Oppenheimer. You know, we were afraid that he was giving secrets to I forget the family. What was it? Roth? I forget the name of it. But they thought he was a spy. You know, giving stuff to the Russians, right? And so yeah, so it is something to worry about. It is something that has to be. But the thing is, we see it in the tabloids, right? We're not seeing all of the meat and potatoes of the issue, you know.
Right, I'm not saying it isn't a concern at all. I'm just saying it should not be a priority when picking a candidate. For example, don't use people's personal lives as fodder for a political agenda. Like, it should be a consideration when you get to things like national security. However, I would like to have someone who is, you know, a very upstanding person morally in office, but that is just not, it's not realistic to assume this person is going to be morally perfect. And so I don't think we should discount people simply because they've made mistakes in the past.
Right. I mean, you know, like I've had this conversation a million times about like Trump versus Hillary. Like, you know, I say Hillary's a liar. Someone who doesn't like Trump will say, oh, well, he's a liar too. But it's like, okay, but has he lied about matters of national security on such a grand scale? Has he endangered the country with his lies? And the answer is no. You know, these things are relative.
And that is the key difference. Have they endangered the country? Have they done anything that is going to perhaps put the American people in jeopardy? Not are they a good person, point blank.
But I do think NC still has a good point in saying that something like the thing with Bill Clinton could be used to blackmail him by a foreign leader or something like that, or a political opponent. And honestly, I think it should have been the Democrats going after him if we're going to take that line of thought, because ultimately the fact that the Republicans went after him so hard for the Lewinsky thing. I think that probably hurt them in the long run and just kind of made them look silly when they wound up failing to get what they want. And I'm not saying I'm not saying it should have gone that way, but that's just sort of the impression that I got from it.
Right. You guys remember that on Law and Order there was that guy, that old guy that was in there that was a senator, Thompson? I can't think of his first name. Fred Thompson, was it?
Yeah, it's Fred Thompson.
Oh, okay. Now, if you look at the old Watergate footage, Fred Thompson was the guy that was grilling Nixon. He was a young guy back then, you know, from Tennessee and that, and he was grilling Nixon, and they were the same party, right?
Hey guys, I gotta say, I gotta go.
All right, take care, man.
Talk to y'all.
All right, good seeing you, Uber.
See you later, Uber.
Next time, buddies.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty impressive, seeing Thompson, seeing that old footage of him just going after him. And
well, right. I mean, and this is another thing, is like I'm not a big fan of like the people who are like staunchly never Trump. But that doesn't mean that I'm against criticism of Trump. I have some of my own criticisms of Trump, and I think that I think that criticism of a particular leader or a particular candidate should probably come more so from within their own party than from the opponents. You know, because you sort of need to hold your own people to account. You know, you can't just let them say whatever they want. Right.
Yeah, you want to keep your own house in order, right?
Right,
before you
exactly.
go after other people. Yeah. So this whole thing with Turkey, you know, I don't know. I think on the face the U.S. has to act like we're behind him, but I think we're probably, you know, arming this this coup against him. And you know, we have this all this stuff with Erdogan trying to piss off the Russians, right? And there's these theories that he wants to start this world war between Russia and the U.S., by doing this, because it draws NATO in, right? Because they're a NATO partner or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on between all the parties and the different governments right now, what they're up to.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really seem like anybody knows what the hell is going on with that situation. Apparently, it turned out to only be a portion of the Turkish military who were going against Erdogan, and so it seems like the coup is like it certainly if it wasn't an outright failure, then it at least wasn't a successful coup. And now it's like we're looking at the question of like, is it going to turn into a civil war, or are they going to? Because I think I heard already that there are already a couple thousand service members being prosecuted for treason already. So
yeah, there's some pretty gruesome stuff going on. And they had some towers bombed, which I guess they were some type of communication towers or something. But one of the rumors that I heard is that Erdogan let this happen so that he could use it as an example to to tighten up his grip on his own people, to enforce draconian rule or whatever. Which I don't know. A coup, you would think it wouldn't go as far as it did, right? But they went pretty far for a small group of people in that. But now they're going to pay for it, so that's that's going to be a big nasty thing. I don't know where that puts us with the Turks.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about it, to be honest. I'm not even sure how I feel about it, because the rebels, if you want to call them that, or the service members attempting the coup, were saying that they wanted to restore secular democracy in Turkey, and that Erdogan's regime is too Islamist, which I can understand that, but at the same time, it sort of created this destabilized situation where you had Islamist imams actually telling people to go out in the street and fight the military unarmed. Like they were trying to use it as a way to take power for themselves, and it seemed like it was very poorly executed, like it wasn't very well planned out.
Yeah, and you only get one shot at something like that.
Right.
So you kind of got to do it right. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a deal in the Ukraine a while back, and I'm not talking about when Russia went in more recently, but there was a thing where the people were more or less revolting against the president they had. I guess he's called a president, and what happened is they said that the votes were rigged or whatever. So it came to a point where the police and the military were standing down their own people, right? And this guy that was the president, he evacuated the building. He just left. He just left the country. He was like, I'm not going to order my own people slaughtered, right? He's like, I'm not going to do that. So he left, which was really honorable and really weird, because he probably could have pushed that, and then that would have been another destabilized region, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's I don't know enough about it to really say too much more on it. It's just it looks like it's a big shell game all the way around,
Yeah, and it could be a thing where if he wants to intensify specific laws that favor Islam, he could even create the coup himself. I mean, he's got the resources, so the leader himself, he could create something like a coup in order to put in laws that favor whatever he wants, so a little bit more of the regime that he's looking for. So I think until we get the facts, it's going to be hard to say what's going on for sure. But it's interesting, and it's weird that the American base that's there is starting to be involved in the situation. So
oh boy!
What happens.
Right. I mean, I remember seeing a report that the U.S. embassies there were telling people basically not to come there. Like they basically like boarded their shit up and said, don't, leave us out of this, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So
hey, Edgy, what's been going on lately?
Well, starting to get a little tired of talking about this, but last night, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Amos Yee.
Oh yeah, okay. I I don't. Well, Logic caught part of that because we had that conversation in Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Now, is he trying to make just an abstract, like an ethereal point about the hate? No.
No.
He's. Oh, okay. So what is he trying to do?
He's trying to be edgy.
Okay, but he doesn't really believe what he's saying, right?
It doesn't matter though.
Yeah.
My point with that is it really doesn't matter considering the fact that let's look at this in context.
Mm-hmm.
This kid ripped the Quran on YouTube. He lives in Singapore. He knows the situation that he's in. He goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
People saw his situation, were empathetic, gave him time, their money for his legal fund, and their energy, and sent people to him to support him, which is all fine. That's fine. He turns it around and creates a child pornography. What was it? What did he name it? It was like supportive of child porn, whatever.
The name of the video was "Child Pornography Should Be Legal."
Yes, because he believes child pornography should be legal.
Huh?
People think about it though. People gave him money to stay out of jail, and now, out of the blue, he creates a video which will be used as evidence against him in his own Singapore court of law.
You know, there was a guy he was called Derived Energy, and he was one of Inmendum's buddies, right? He's an antinatalist, and he was one of these guys, gloom and doom guys, like, oh, there's no purpose in life, we've got to end all life, and don't anybody have kids or procreate or whatever. And he was what they call like a red button guy, right? He was like, if I had the power to do it, I would destroy all life, right? To end suffering, right? That was his whole thing. Well, anyway, the guy kept challenging everybody to these thought experiments, and I took him on a few of them, and I thought I had won them, and he ended up blocking me, and then he's making videos about me and saying bad, whatever about me, but he's blocking me, so I can't even answer it, right? So the guy's just below the boards to begin with, right? Well, anyway, I find out later that he was in, I want to say, I don't, it might have been, no, it was Indonesia, it was Jakarta, Indonesia, right? Okay, so he's an atheist on top of this, right? So anyway, he's a school teacher there. He's an English guy that's a school teacher in Jakarta, and he's teaching these kids atheism and stuff like that, which is a capital offense, right? And so they ended up arresting him, and there's all these weird stories about it. Well, people were calling writing the embassies. I wrote a few embassies for him, all this other stuff, and then he turned around and he kept pushing the system. Well, he ended up dead, and we don't know if he killed himself because it was kind of a weird thing. They say it was suicide, but it kind of seems like they did it to him. But it was like he was one of these guys. It's like, okay, well, you're a teacher, and you're from England, and you're going into this place where you know that atheism is like punishable by death, and you're gonna reform these kids? Like, I mean, there's so many things that's wrong with that aside from just common sense, right? It's like he could get the kids in trouble, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. It kind of reminds me of that. It's like okay, so you back this guy, you get money behind it, and then he turns around and does something like this. Now the reason he's doing this, like MC Clark was saying, that it's he's doing it to be edgy. Well, is he doing it to buck the people there? Is he trying to get himself killed or something, or what?
I don't think he fully, I don't know, I personally don't think he thought through that he's going to have higher legal fees now because of what he's saying. I think he just wants to capitalize on the fame and attention he's getting from his initial grievances, which were legitimate, because a lot of people in this community are very pro-free speech, and so because of that, he got a lot of support from this community. A lot of people stuck their neck out for him and mirrored his videos, donated to his Patreon for his legal funds, and so now he's just trying to capitalize on that and keep himself relevant, and I don't think he really understands the full extent of what's going to happen because he said this, but I think that he's really just trying to have his 15 minutes of fame and stay in the news and stay relevant in this community. That's what I
Right. I mean, I think he's just pushing the envelope of seeing what he can get away with saying, and still have people support him.
Right.
And it seems like a large portion of his audience are blind to that. But I also agree with what NC is saying about how it doesn't really matter whether he's trolling or not, because he seems to think that he can pass this child porn thing off as a matter of because I mean let's make something very clear here. He was not simply advocating legalized child porn. He was also advocating because what the obvious problem here is that for child porn to be produced, there has to be a victim involved. If this is pornography of an actual child, there is a victim involved in that scenario necessarily. So in an attempt to get around this problem, Amos additionally advocated that children should be able to consent to sexual contact, and no one should be able to do anything about it, and it should be, in his words, it should be up to them if they want to do that or not. And this is after showing him the available information on the kind of psychological damage this does. This is after explaining that consent by definition has to be informed consent. You can't consent to something if you don't understand what you're consenting to. After all of those things said and done, or even like if you want to make the comparison of should we let kids vote? Should we let kids drive? Should we let them join the military, etc.? All of these things taken into account, his argument boils down to I don't care. It's an infringement of their free speech and free expression to not let them consent to sex. This is his position.
Well, and here's the thing: if you want to push the limits of free speech, there's a lot of topics you could go over. Ones that don't include the infringement of individual rights or the harming of somebody who cannot make choices for themselves or something like that. Somebody who's weak. You don't say, hey, what if we physically harm people who can't defend themselves? We should be able to talk about harming them and making it legal to harm them if we want. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but kids, you shouldn't be doing anything to kids. We should be helping kids, not doing anything that's negative. We know that molestation of a child is something that's negative, and so that's not something that should even be on the radar, even for free speech purposes. There's all kinds of things you can talk about besides that, where you're not talking about harming somebody who cannot defend themselves, where you can work that whole free speech thing and do that.
Well, yeah, why go there?
Just, why go there? It's not. Yeah.
By the same token, I would say that also the people who donate to to his personal Patreon didn't know and didn't have an informed consent of the character. It was defending a principle out of the blue.
Yeah, he should have done a video on bestiality. Then we'd all be having fun right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's not really the real problem. Really, what he was saying, the situation is in. That's the real problem, because if it was in United States, well, it's free speech, but now it's fucking everything up, and this is going to be used against him in judge. That's the real problem I see.
Right.
Not if it's about creating child porn, because we can use facts and things against him, but the real problem is where is the situation. That's the real problem. I don't have fucking problem, because that's fucking free speech, but he needs to talk it about much later when he passed the jail thing.
Right.
That's the real problem.
Right. I mean, and that's something I actually said to him on the stream last night. I was like, I wouldn't be worried about trying to characterize this child porn argument as a free speech thing. I'd be worried about the fact that you're facing prison time. I'd be worried about the prospect of going to jail and what you can do to mitigate that. And arguing in favor of child porn is not one of those things. You're not helping yourself by doing this.
Yeah, so he's just not being responsible. I think that's the
right.
thing,
and I mean, and to be perfectly clear, I'm not against his right to, the actual advocacy itself. The arguments that he's making are a form of free speech. But the subject matter that he's talking about, the concept of children being able to offer sexual consent, is not free speech. That is not a free speech issue.
Right. And well, the thing that would worry me
saying
too.
It, yes.
So yeah, talking about it is free speech. The issue itself and the problem itself is not a free speech issue.
Right. Well, see now, if you guys all have
that's
money into him, right?
I haven't donated to him, but I did. I did not donate to him, but I did mirror one of his videos, specifically one responding to that Adam Saleh guy, and yeah, there are some other YouTubers that I like Tyler Preston 20 and Crowton T stuck up for him. A bunch of us in this community, like Fraulein said, we stuck our necks out for him, supporting him in what was at the time a legitimate cause, and now he's gone and polluted that and basically taken a shit on it. And
Yeah, I'd be more worried. I'd be worried at this point, just a little, right? About okay, so now you've backed this guy, or not you so much. I mean, you have, but other people have. Okay, so they backed this guy, and now he's going with this thing with the child porn argument or whatever. And there's going to be other people who can track that information, right, through the internet or whatever,
right.
government officials or whoever. And so I would be worried about that. I would want to cut ties. I mean, I understand that you're advocating for free speech and you're trying to help them out in that respect. But if he wants to go there or whatever, I think I'd start cutting ties now because.
Well, right. I mean, it's not the hill I want to die on. I'm not. I'm not interested in. I can advocate free speech in plenty of other ways than by associating with someone who wants to take this line of argument.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and Justicar, I've seen that with Justicar where he had a series of videos on, I think it was hebephilia, right? And I've gotten a few arguments with some of the guys over that, and I don't follow him. It's not that I've seen some of his other videos, and it's not that he's not a smart guy. It's not that he's not entertaining or whatever, but I just personally didn't like the stuff that he was going for, that he was representing or pushing, and when he went there, when he went with the hebephilia and trying to preach for that on a legal sense, trying to say how legally it's not actually child pornography or whatever, that kind of thing, because they're legally 1 year older than whatever the limit would be.
I think Justicar's argument was a little bit different from what Amos was advocating. Where Amos was advocating a total removal of the concept of legal sexual consent. Justicar was merely advocating in it. He wasn't saying completely get rid of legal consent. This is actually something I think we could have a reasonable conversation about. This isn't a totally out there thing. Basically, Justicar was saying do it on a case-by-case basis and examine the alleged victim and see to what degree are they actually able to consent. Now, I think there are still caveats that should be placed there. I think the legal definition of consent should still specifically include language that would necessarily include preclude, I should say, would remove young children from falling under it. For me, the line would have to be drawn at sexual maturity. This shouldn't be something that can apply to like 8-year-olds or something like that. So I think Justicar's argument was a bit more nuanced. Sorry, go ahead.
So Edgy, you say when they get maturity, so you're okay with heptophilia?
Oh, what would heptophilia be?
It's passing puberty. It's like
Okay,
between
well,
16, 14, 13, and 12.
Yeah, see, if you're talking about like a 12-year-old or something like that, yeah, I mean, I think it's unlikely that the average 12-year-old is mentally mature enough to fit a good legal definition of consent. I wouldn't be in favor of something like that, no. But it's sort of more of a question of like, does it have to be a fixed hard line, or can it be a bit more of a range? And I think there is an argument to be had there. However, at the same time, I think that going down that road is still sort of catering to the exceptions to the rule, because I think the vast majority of the time you're not going to find like a 14-year-old or something like that who would actually fully comprehend what they're doing. I don't. You're talking that this would be a change if we could institute Justicar's changes tomorrow. I think that would be something that's catering to the exception to the rule and not the majority of young teenagers.
Yes, I've talked to him about that, and yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I mean, I did actually watch Justicar's videos, right? on it, and I think I understand what he was saying. The thing is that I'm keeping in mind here that I am on the internet, right? And whatever I comment or whatever I say or watch or whatever, somebody has a record of it. Somebody knows, right? And like you said, you know, you didn't want that to be your hill that you die on. You know, that's the way I figure. You know, I wouldn't want to lose all my rights in that because of engaging in something like that, right? And the people who I was arguing with in that in the comment sections and stuff, they were talking about this idea of like, well, if you're 60 years old and you're with a 12-year-old or whatever, that should be legal if they're legally puberty or biologically, you know. And I'm like, well, they're mentally not prepared probably, and they're like, oh, well, no, how can you judge or how can you moralize? Well, see, the thing is yeah, we have legal systems for that, and we have different places to discuss it, but I would not want to, with all the fights that I've started and all the fights I've joined in, I would not want to get burned on something like that on the internet, you know.
Right. I mean, I don't think you would have to worry too much about simply discussing something. Mm-hmm. It would be, you know, you would need to be concerned if you had material on your computer that would pose that kind of problem.
Well, or if somebody tried to dox you or something, and then they pulled up that statement and said like, "Oh, okay, here you go," you know, to the boss or whatever, right? It's
right.
like
Okay.
That, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could use that against you.
Right.
And so yeah, for something like that, it's just the risk is too great, I think. But you know, people are talking about it, and the laws. The thing that I've never really quite understood. And then I kind of had it explained to me, is this idea of why consent has different ages per different state, right? In the United States, because I guess some countries don't have that. They have like a flat, you know, age of consent, you know, through the entire country. And I think this goes back to farming days and stuff like that, when people only lived so long, right? And they you know, people had to breed fast and all this other stuff, right? But I don't think a lot of that applies to today. So I think it would be good to probably federalize that age, you know, like make it a nationwide thing, you know, where, you know, because there was a thing where, like in Alabama for the longest time, it's like you could marry somebody at 13. And you know, where it was like 18 or whatever everywhere else, or 17, whatever. But I think that it should be something that's agreed upon, that, you know, that's enforced in every state the same way, right?
Yeah, well, the Alabama one you mentioned is a bit of an outlier, but for the most part, state-specific laws on consent are considered Romeo and Juliet laws. So essentially, they don't prevent two teenagers, like a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, from engaging in a consensual relationship. So that's more the point of those state-specific clauses.
Right.
Yeah, and then your point about how in different countries it's a hard, fast line. Well, this kind of thing does have a lot of cultural influence over what people think the correct age of consent should be. I brought up a point last night in the stream about how in Germany, the age of consent is technically 14 years old. However, if you are over 21 and you are charged of exploiting this 14-year-old, you can be criminally charged with like child abuse or rape or something of the sort. So it does depend on culture. However, most countries do agree that the age is around sexual maturity. Like in the UK, it's 16. So it's not a hard, fast line. That's the point. But it should be a line that's drawn somewhere so that we can enforce the law, and it's not just some range that people can exploit.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's, you know, I think that the system we have is you know, I think if we go messing with it too much, it's just going to create more problems. Because I think most people can probably agree that that someone who is not sexually mature should not be engaging in that kind of thing.
Right. The whole point of these laws, like the clause I mentioned in Germany, where a 21-year-old who has sex with a 14-year-old can be criminally charged upon exploitation. The whole point of these laws is to protect children. That's the main goal here.
Right. I mean, and this was another point I raised last night. You know, it's if you're gonna if Amos is gonna advocate that oh well adults should be able to fuck children and it's not real exploitation. Adults get exploited by other adults. Adults with fully developed functioning brains, you know, they're at maximum capacity that they're ever going to be in their life, and they still fall into these psychological traps and abusive relationships and things like that. So if that can happen to an adult, it sure as hell can happen to a small child who isn't even fully
Are you there?
developed yet.
Oh, I think.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, well, I think we lost Edgy. Something happened with his mic.
Hey, sorry guys, I dropped off for some reason.
It's because you're a fascist.
Yeah, I'm a total fascist, you guys, because
That's the only thing he said during the whole thing. You're a fascist, and
Yeah.
it's like he doesn't understand what that means. I didn't know being a nationalist implied that you wanted to restrict child porn. It was such a he meant authoritarian, but
Well, I mean, I do consider myself a nationalist.
Well, I know you do.
And I don't agree with the characterization that nationalists, and I'm not saying you're doing this, NC, but this is a common characterization that, oh, if you're a nationalist, then that's the same as being a fascist or a Nazi. You know, not even being a fascist is the same thing as being a Nazi. That's also a false characterization.
Well,
So-
see, you know. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Quantica, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to add to that point that you just made. I was looking up the definition of nationalism, and you know they've changed that.
Yeah, it's I can even remember being like 12, 13 years old and reading definitions like that, and they have been changed. Even since I was a kid, because you know, I feel like there's increasingly, you know, and this is getting into a little bit of a tinfoil hat kind of thing, but there is increasingly an ideological bent to every kind of media, it seems. Like even the fucking dictionary is starting to have an ideological bent. Because academia is largely dominated by left-leaning people. So of course everything that they want to characterize as bad is always right-wing somehow.
Yeah, NC's got it. Nationalist. Anyone who supports Trump. I thought of myself as a nationalist. And then I got into some argument with it, and I tried to explain it because they were trying to tell me I was this and that and all this other stuff. And so I look it up, and I'm like, damn it, they changed the definition. Now I can't use that, you know. But my idea of nationalism
We're taking it back. We're taking it back.
Right. Well, we'll see. Generally, the from what the dictionary one was that I read, it was something saying that your nationalism is that you're holding to this, you know, your lineage, right? Like not the country you're in, but your bloodline or whatever. And I'm like, well, no, I'm thinking of like, you know, like in terms of patriotism, right? It's like you want to do what's good for your country. Like I think Putin is a guy that, and I could be totally wrong, but I think Putin is a guy who wants to do what's good for Russia.
Right. He is, and he does put Russia, and here's the thing: is that people fail to make this distinction that there are different kinds of nationalism. Like Hitler, for instance, he was a nationalist, but he was an ethno-nationalist in the sense of like racial purity and all this stuff. And that's not something that I identify with because the United States has always been somewhat of a diverse country. There's a variety of different subcultures in the United States, but when I say that I'm nationalist in an American context, I'm not just thinking of people who look like me. I'm thinking of everyone in this country who is an American citizen or a permanent resident who has come here legally.
Right.
Those are the people I'm concerned with.
Yeah. So what we have to do is invent new words faster than they can change our words, right?
Right. So I call myself.
I don't know, man. That'd be quite the rat race.
Oh, hey, Anders, what's up?
Hey, Edgy, how are you doing, man?
Pretty good. We were just discussing bullshit redefinitions and mischaracterizations and things like that.
Yeah, no, I was on earlier but had to drop out for a little while, and I saw you guys were still going, so I decided to hop back in.
Cool.
Well, I actually just looked up a definition of nationalism, and the part that got me was how they emphasize that nationalism is necessarily a feeling of superiority over the cultures. I don't think that's true. I think nationalism just means prioritizing your own people first, but of course they want to include the superiority clause. Exactly. It's psychologically normal to associate with people who are more like you and share your ideas, but I think you can be nationalist without being supremacist, but most people don't make that distinction anymore.
Well, right. I mean, and that is a really important distinction. Is that, you know, when I call myself nationalist, I want other countries to be nationalist as well. Like just because I want to put my own country first does not mean that I think my country is just better than everyone else's. It means that I'm most concerned about the interests of my country and my people.
Exactly, and I don't think it means that you think your country is immune to criticism either. Like,
right.
Yeah,
like there's sort of this idea of like, oh well, if you're nationalist, you must be a statist, you must be authoritarian, and it's like, I mean, I am authoritarian to some degree, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I think the government is always right about everything and that government can do no wrong. Quite the opposite. I have a lot of problems with the way the U.S. government is run right now.
So Edgy, how many times do you get in an argument or whatever where you get called a stupid American?
Well, I mean, a lot of the other YouTubers I talk to are European, and I think I think that whole the stupid Americans, you know.
Yeah. They say American, right? Like that, like they drop the A.
Everyone makes jokes, but I think that whole attitude is kind of overblown. You know, I don't think Europeans have as negative of an attitude towards Americans as Americans think they do. You know.
Yeah, all of the Europeans that I've interacted with have been, very respectful and have never been like, oh, you're just a stupid American and you don't know anything. No. I've always approached them with respect, and I've always received the same in kind from all of the Europeans that I've interacted with.
Yeah, me too. I haven't really experienced that. That's nice.
Yeah.
I don't think the Europeans are the ones who hate America.
No, definitely not.
I think it's more like the South America. The South America are ones that hate much more America, to be honest.
For
example, there was the dictatorship. What happened in South America?
Hey, Logic saying he has to wrap up the stream pretty soon. He's got a hot date.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
So now you got to tell us about the hot date.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to, trying to stay focused. That's my goal.
Cool.
But yeah, it's gonna be a hot date. So really looking forward to it. But if I don't show up and pick her up on time, that's not gonna be a good start to the date, I'm thinking. So.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
She's not one of those feminists, is she?
That's why I've got the SJW jacket on.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm getting into character,
Okay.
Well, you look more like a hipster to me, man.
Well, I think a lot of SJWs have, a little bit maybe a little hipstery. I guess anybody can be a hipster, so.
Yeah.
It's just that hipster and SJW tend to include the mutually inclusive a lot of the time.
Yeah. I heard mutually exclusive.
No, inclusive. Like usually SJWs are hipsters and vice versa. I didn't know the correct term for that, but it's a common trend.
What is a hipster? Is that like a hippie with a stir?
I think it's somebody.
No, it's somebody who doesn't follow the modes.
Exactly. It's a person who lives ironically. It's a person who does things. Like they'll wear things that you go, oh, that wouldn't match at all, and they just do things that are ironic.
It's wearing something to be. It's wear something different, but not because you like it, because you want to feel different.
Exactly.
That's it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, I like my SJW jacket, so I guess I'm not a hipster. Yes.
It's kind of like a leather biker jacket, in all honesty, man. So I don't know. I don't accept your definitions.
Okay, so I'm a leather.
No, but that's why they change every time.
He's a hoodlum.
No, but that's the reason why they change.
Wow.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Well, hey. Okay, so you got to wrap it up, huh?
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
So that's the way it is, huh?
Okay. Well, a few patches and some, like studs on your leather jacket, and you can be crust punk.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. And I could be attracting a whole other demographic of women.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're onto something.
Yeah, see?
Indeed. All right, you
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
You guys were awesome. I love all of you guys. You were awesome guests. Edgy, man. I love hearing the things you have to say. You're obviously highly intelligent and resourceful. Thank you for coming, Edgy. All of you guys. You guys are awesome. Cool.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're awesome too.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
That's what he was waiting for.
Yeah, I was waiting. I thought you guys were gonna.
No, Edgy muted himself, but I apologize for hopping back on super late, but
No, it's awesome. Everybody's welcome. So, all right, you guys. Well, thank you guys for coming to Logic Church. We do this weekly at varying times. I think we've been doing it on Saturday. We did last week on Friday, so kind of around the weekend is when we're going to be doing these. So thank you guys for coming, and I'll be on here again. Thank you to all the guests, and everybody in the chat was awesome. So
hey, Logic.
Good time.
I was AFK for a second, and I kept listening on my phone. Sorry about that. That was a bit awkward. But yeah, always good to come on.
Yeah.
Delayed response for you.
Just for you.
Awesome. I'm feeling the love now. All right, guys.
Okay.
All right,
Have
bye,
a good one,
guys.
everybody.
All right,
take
thank you.
care.